The Central Bank of Nigeria has lifted the ban on 43 items previously restricted from accessing foreign exchange. This means that importers of the 43 items, which include rice, cement, meat, poultry, and others, can now freely purchase Forex from the official window at cheaper rates. The CBN says it will also boost liquidity in the foreign exchange markets by intervening from time to time, in its words. It says the intervention will decrease gradually when market liquidity improves. The banking regulator pledges to continue to promote orderliness and professional conduct. It says it has set the attainment of a single FX market as one of its goals, and consultations are ongoing with market participants to achieve the goal. The new decision comes amid high levels of volatility experienced in the Forex market, with the Naira falling to an all-time low by trading at 1,045 Naira to the dollar in the parallel market and 776 Naira at the official market. Rufai.
I mean, this is a good one from the CBN, and kudos to the CBN this morning, because a lot of people here that have always made the argument that one of the things that put the pressure, so much pressure on the black market, as it were, was the fact that a couple of years ago under Mr. Emefiele, the CBN said there were 43 banned items, and you couldn't come to the official Forex market to get Forex for these items, so you had to go to the black market, and he put a lot of pressure. And when you look at this item, what are they? They're staple. Rice is a big staple in this country. Poultry products is a big staple. I hear nails is part of it, margarine and all. These are staples. And these are things that have a lot of Forex requirements. And over the years, many analysts have been saying that policy, leaves much to be desired. So now that the CBN said they can also go to the market and be able to get that Forex, yes, it's going to also ease up the pressure. So let's see the effect that is going to have on our Forex market that is moving more than a yo-yo. And for all those that said, flotation will bring about the price discovery and all of that, I kept on saying that textbook economics is different from reality economics. What you read in the textbook is different. And that's why the economists even give you a caveat saying ceteris paribus, all things being equal. And I'm sure it's dawned on those people now. Because when you look at it, look at where we are. 1,030 Naira, and it's going down. But with this, let's see if it will take more off that black market. They need to go to that black market. Let's see the effect. Secondly, in that circular that was released, they also talked about the fact that they're going to try as much as possible to intervene in the market where necessary. So they keep saying this. They've been saying this for a time. How much is the level of intervention? How much is the intervention going to help bring us down from this psychological threshold? There's something called a psychological threshold. The 1,000 mark was a big psychological threshold. A couple of years ago, 500 mark was a big psychological threshold. And that's why when we hit the 500 mark, immediately after this administration this last administration came in, that was in early 2016, Mr. Emefiele had to go out there, to international bodies, get enough arsenal to be able to defend the currency then. Then we brought it back to around 360. So what is going to be able to bring us back? They said they are going to intervene. Do they have the arsenal? We all saw the CBN books recently. And there's still a lot that has to be said as regards even the ways and means that is going on the CBN books and a couple of other things. So do they have enough arsenal to be able to fight this back? That's the big question. Have we made any success with Afrexim 3.5 billion? Have we made any success with this talk about the IMF new 1.5 billion? Because you need money to be able to intervene in the market and make a drastic change. But on that 43 items, kudos to him. We just hope that we can go out there and fight more for this country so we can make Nigerians truly breathe.
All right.
Okay, well, it's good to hear from Cardoso's CBN. He's been there and we've been wondering what is he doing? When are we going to start hearing from him? So we have heard from him concretely. Some of the things he has said. One, that the policy with regard to the importation of 43 items will end. And the importation of those items can go into the R&E market, which is the window for FX that the CBN has insisted upon. And he says that R&E window will continue. What are those items? Cement, wheelbarrow, vegetable oil, meat, palm kernel products, rice, vegetables. In 2015, that policy was introduced. 41 items in 2015 were banned from the Forex market. Later, it was increased to 43. So that's what, Cardoso's CBN is trying to address. However, what is the issue? When that policy was introduced, it was criticized. The idea was that, look, you don't fine-tune the economy by banning this, banning that. What is important? These are items that could be produced in Nigeria to create jobs inside Nigeria. We run an economy that is based on dumping. We run a dumping ground economy rather than a productive economy. Nigeria cannot even produce a toothpick, which a former president liked so much. They said he liked to use a toothpick while reading cartoons. Nigeria cannot produce ordinary toothpick. We can't produce vegetables. We can't produce palm oil products. So that was the level of criticism at that time. So what this policy has said is that, look, just bring everything in, everything because we're looking for Forex. I'm sure, I'm not an economist, but economists will look at this critically and also say maybe something is wrong here. What could probably be wrong here? What could probably be wrong is that the CBN under Cardoso is looking at fiscal policy. So one of the issues we have always raised here has been the misalignment between fiscal and monetary policy. However, yesterday, the CBN also said it will focus on its core mandate, which is monetary policy, and that it will not engage in development finance, which was the case under Emefiele. Emefiele carried everything on his head. He was doing monetary policy, he was doing fiscal policy. Was he rewarded for it? He ran into trouble on all fronts for doing more than he was required to do. So Cardoso's CBN is saying we will focus on advisory role rather than taking on development financing. Okay, isn't there a contradiction here? I see a contradiction when you say, okay, items that were banned 2015 and later 43 items, you are taking a position on that. Is that monetary policy? However, with regard to monetary policy, the CBN also told us yesterday that the single FX market is here to stay. The CBN also said the free float of the Forex market, of the Naira, is here to stay. There are economists or quasi-economists who say, no, the free float of the Naira is not a good idea. So there's some controversy in that regard. However, I'm a student of policy evaluation. In a recent engagement, I think I scored 5 points, in that particular course. The issue is that policy uncertainty is a major problem for the Nigerian economy. One government comes, introduces a policy, another government comes, introduces another policy. The uncertainty is a major problem. Can we at some point, these are our economists, these people, who say they are the experts, can they introduce some level of certainty into the management of the economy? Professor Patu Tome has written a major book on the subject, one of his early books, titled Managing Uncertainty. So this is an uncertain economy. Everybody comes with their own idea of what they want to do. So I think our managers, our leaders, our experts, the so-called technocrats, they have to pay attention to the policy cycle and how to introduce a certain level of certainty beyond partisan politics into this economy. I think that is the bigger picture that we need to look at.
Absolutely. As has been said, a number of questions, of course. Welcome news, especially by stakeholders and players in the industry. However, one of the questions, and an analogy that was used, especially following the announcements, was almost like inviting people to dinner and not having food to serve. And so the question by a number of people is, does the CBN have enough liquidity to, in terms of Forex, to meet the demands if the pressure is taken from the black market, which we're hoping, and then hopefully bring down the price on, and the 25% disparity between the black market and the official exchange rate? So these are some of the questions. Great idea, but has been said a number of times with regards to policies within, under this administration, is that there's some measures that need to run concurrently, in terms of at the same time, to ensure that the policies are successful, the implementation of the policies are successful. The CBN still has a backlog of, billions of dollars.
7 billion or 10 billion.
Yeah, $10 billion. And so they have to clear that backlog, even in terms of internal backlog as well. So those are the questions. So while we rejoice and we're happy at the fact that, okay, the importance of this, and rewriting perhaps one of the criticisms of the past administration, the taste of the pudding, as we often say, is in the eating. Is the CBN able? They must be. For them to, we're hopeful for them to, make this announcement. Is the CBN able to meet the demands of this, of the 43 products listed? Another concern as well is the customs, because we know that some of those items on the list are also banned on, in terms of the customs. So how would that work? Would there be synergy between the two agencies, or between the, as to how this will play out? So a few questions, as with a number of policies that have been announced by this government, whereby there are more questions than perhaps solutions. So again, maybe they'll provide further clarity, and in the coming days, we'll see just how much impact and effect this will have on the markets. It was a disastrous night yesterday, moving on to another story, in the city of Lagos, as about 12 high-tension electric poles were destroyed in a ghastly petroleum tanker accident that occurred in front of house number 229 Moshood Abiola Way, opposite Fashola Estate at Palex bus stop by Igomu Bridge, Ijora. The accident consumed 2 buses, 2 cars, a trailer loaded with sardines and detergent products, 1 SUV, 3 flat-body trailers, 2 20-feet containers, and 2 petroleum tankers. However, as fate will have it, all occupants and drivers of the vehicles jumped into safety before the petroleum products caught fire. This is in the midst of that disastrous video you're looking at. The great thing, or the great news we find, is the fact that at least so far, it doesn't seem like the casualties, the numbers are high, if there's any at all, noting that many of the occupants were able to jump to safety before the trucks caught fire.
We thank God for that. We thank God that no life was lost, because that would have been a big disaster. We don't want to see gory pictures. These are live pictures from the place. Things are being taken away. But you see, the initial report sent to me was about a bad spot on the roads. You can see how bad also the roads are. It's not the time to apportion blame. I know they're going to have a proper accident investigation, and whatever they come up with as the cause of this, then definitely we should deal with the problems. This pretty much reminds me of what happened in Delta. Bad spot on the road, the tanker tried to meander, what is at the back falls off, and it starts to spill. I am not saying, please do not quote me, I am not saying that's exactly the incident in this regard, because I don't have the full exit report of the incident. But I'm also saying that we should fix our own infrastructure. And secondly, we would like to give kudos to all the first responders that were there yesterday. They did a great job at ensuring that all of this comes. And the first responders that are there this morning, we're grateful life was not lost. But please, when it comes to accidents and incidents, we should do a proper investigation to be able to see the causative factors. But we must also, as a society, collectively ask and demand for accountability. That's all I'll say this morning.
Well, 2 incidents occurred yesterday in Lagos. Both of them unfortunate. Both of them condemnable. Both of them regrettable. Now, in the Ijora 7 Up area towards Apapa. That was where you had, you know, the incident with the petroleum tankers catching fire. The Lagos Fire Service did not get there on time. The incident occurred at 7:30 p.m. There was no fire service, you know, emergency response for a long time. And people were just screaming, running up and down. Now, that will not happen in a properly organized society. Look at the scale of the inferno, and there was no fire service to respond. That's something that the Lagos State government needs to worry about. That's something that the Nigerian government needs to worry about. However, the good news is that Ijora, Apapa, from Costain and all of that, this is a densely populated area. But fortunately, you know, the population was not affected. As of this morning, we have not had any report of any casualties. But even then, you know, a major inferno in any part of Lagos State is not something that anybody should celebrate. The second incident that occurred yesterday was on Otedola Bridge, which is a very famous bridge. Yeah, I will not say more than that. It's a very famous bridge for accidents and, you know, vehicles capsizing, you know, getting overturned. There was this tanker, oil tanker vehicle that was going towards Capital Oil, that we were told. And then it also again capsized. And when that happened, people from the area started scooping fuel. Okay, there was no major incident there. Is something wrong with our people? No, I think there is a major mass psychosis that is going on in this country that we need to address. And that's why on this program, I keep criticizing the National Orientation Agency. What exactly is it doing? Nigerians have just, they are a psychotic lot. Fuel is something that is inflammable.
Yes, highly inflammable.
Each time a tanker capsizes and there is fuel, you will see people carrying kegs, carrying jerrycan, carrying all kinds of things, scooping fuel, which means too many Nigerians are ready to die. They don't mind. They just want to commit suicide. And where are the security agencies? Every time we say on this program that people are scooping fuel, we have not heard of security agencies going there to arrest the people. Attempt to commit suicide is an offense under the laws of Nigeria. If you go and scoop fuel and you know that this is dangerous and inflammable material, you should be arrested. Have you ever had anybody being arrested for endangering themselves? We're on a country of 200 million people where people are allowed to just endanger their lives. Number 3 is the situation of the roads. Umahi, I think that's his name,
Yes,
Dave
David
Umahi,
Umahi,
who is the minister in charge. He's been saying he will check cement, he will insist on cement construction and all of that. No, it's not just about what you use, whether you use asphalt or you use cement, as they do in Ghana, between Accra and Tema. The entire expressway from Accra to Tema is made of cement. Fine. Use whatever you want to use. But can we fix the roads? Look at Third Mainland Bridge. If you go on that Third Mainland Bridge, the same Third Mainland Bridge that the Federal Ministry of Works under BRF, Babatunde Raji Fashola, as minister, as he then was shutting down again and again to fix Third Mainland Bridge. That Third Mainland Bridge, I hope a vehicle will not just drop on the road down into the river. So what the hell were they doing? So just fix the roads. Nigerians want to be able to move peacefully. Take where's that village that Ifene comes from? Yes, you know, between Warri and Benin. You know, he was lamenting here the other day that the road is bad and has been bad for a long time. Who is looking at it? In the whole of the eastern region where Minister Umahi himself comes from, the roads are not good. And then every day we are talking of trailers collapsing, fuel tankers exploding. No, please, there is a lot for this government to do. And can they begin to focus on the job?
So many things to talk about, and there's so many unavoidable deaths in Nigeria if only people will do what they're supposed to do, both the private and public sector. You know, Dr. Basi said, are people psychotic? I think people are just so poor that they are driven to madness in terms of doing anything to survive, including risking their lives to scoop fuel. Of course, there's an element of greed there. But there are also people who are just, because if you look at the people who go to scoop the fuel, some of them are women, traders, who just are looking at their glimpse of redemption in terms of the money they will make on that portion of fuel. There's that, and of course, misinformation and miseducation. But beyond that is that in March 2022, there was an explosion. In 2021, September, there was an explosion. That same axis, tanker explosion laden with fuel. Now in October 2023, so it's almost becoming an annual situation. Do we learn lessons? Are there incident reports? Are there evaluations done to ensure that such a monumental disaster does not occur again? Especially disgraceful that it's happening around the same area, the same axis. So it cannot be said to just be coincidence. There are things that, if fixed, can be done. Simple things, some simple things. We talked about infrastructure, road infrastructure. And even though this hasn't been ascertained in this case, in the previous cases, it was either the driver was trying to maneuver, park, and the likes. That's what caused those disasters. Second thing is the number of trucks on our roads. We've talked about alternative modes of transportation for carrying fuel. We've talked about this a number of times, and it almost seems as if, that's too far-fetched. Let's see how we can continue to transport. When are we going to build infrastructure to enable us move fuel or flammable goods from one end to the other without going on our roads and endangering other commuters on the road? Number three is training, and that's why I said it's both the public and private sector. Some of these drivers are known to drive recklessly. And so we see those things at the back of trucks, report this driver if he's driving recklessly. What do organizations take in terms of responsibility to ensure that their drivers are well trained, their trucks are in good condition? Because the one from last year, eyewitnesses said that the tank was leaking. Some of these containers are not joined properly. What are the sanctions imposed on organizations or companies who are, who do not take on their responsibility properly? It's a multi-stakeholder approach. And if we don't fix this problem, God forbid next year we come back again and talk about another explosion happening in that Apapa Ijora area. God forbid. But if we must pray, we must also act. We must also do things. We hear the governor is going to visit the site later today, but beyond visiting, we've said it before, action. Let action speak louder than condolence visits and sympathy visits. Let action speak to prevent these kinds of occurrences in our nation.